In the last few moments, we understand Eberechi Eze, very skillful player, great lad, great entertainer, has suffered a serious Achilles injury that could well keep him out until well into next season. We could be talking January/February.
Wow.
It occurred in training. Of course, this boy's 22, he's a youngster. We understand he's seeing a specialist to ascertain the extent of the damage and what the next steps might be. Trevor, what's all that about at this stage in the season?
Absolute massive blow for Eze and for Crystal Palace. Fantastic player. Had a real big impact at Crystal Palace this season. I think the fans have really bought into him. He came as a bit of an unknown, a bit of a gamble because he's been playing in the Championship with Queen's Park Rangers. But some of the goals that he scored, some of the assists, he scored 4, got 6 assists this season, been brilliant. I think he's one of the fans' favourites, and with his style, with the way that he plays, with the way that he moves with the ball, creative player, plays for England under 21s, that's a massive blow. And obviously with Roy Hodgson going out of the club as well, that's a huge gap to fill. I've played with a player, David Barsley, at Queen's Park Rangers, who also did his Achilles.
I remember him.
And it kind of ended his elite performance in football.
Yeah.
It's a serious injury, and I think it's a big problem for footballers. You know, you talk about running about when you go and do exercises and you wear trainers. There's a bit of a heel raise on your trainers.
Right.
When you wear boots and these hard pitches,
right,
there's extra pressure being put on that Achilles heel. I think you should do strengthening exercises around that to avoid it. I don't know whether that's been done, but it's something that I do at my academy. We do soleus muscles and we work on our Achilles. But this is a massive blow for Eze. I'm absolutely devastated for him, because if it's going to keep him out for that amount of time, it's a serious injury.
A massive blow for him. That notwithstanding, Simon, a massive blow too for whoever comes in to succeed Roy.
Yes, we have heard that Palace were going to go again a little bit this summer, haven't we? In terms of there was a bit of a transfer fund being put together to try and replenish the squad. They've got a mixture of challenges. They've got a group of players that are out of contract. They've got the Wilfried Zaha situation, which will probably rear its head again. I'm not forecasting it will, but I'll be surprised if it didn't. They've got a manager that will come in, but a new manager coming in will be looking at the opportunity to leverage the board with the requirement for finances. And if Eze's out of the mix for 50% of the season, it'll just be, okay, well, I need a replacement. The problem will really lie for the owners of Palace. They had 50 million perhaps to support the current squad. Now they've got to look at it with one of their key components being taken out of it, because he was brought in perhaps to fill the gap that eventually might find its way there when Wilfried Zaha leaves Palace.
Yes.
If he leaves Palace.
Yeah. They certainly could do without any more noises from Zaha then at this particular stage in the proceedings. Well, especially now we know what's happened with Eze.
In fairness to him, I don't think he's made many noises. I think he's been linked with clubs himself. He's a star performer. He's an outstanding footballer. He scored more goals this season than he has in any previous season for Palace, in what has been a kind of in and out season for Palace. It's not been the one that we've often had, which is a bit more challenging at the bottom of the league, but they've still been sort of in the middle of the middle rank of the middle rank of the middle rank. But I think Wilfried Zaha is a player that can play at the highest level. So whilst I'm not advocating that he leaves Crystal Palace, I think there is a point now. They've paid him 130 grand a week. I was listening to the Breakfast Show this morning, and I think Darren was talking about Palace's wage bill and the fact that Palace don't have a propensity to spend a lot of money on transfers. I'm not sure that's right, by the way. They spent £35 million on Benteke. They spent £26 million on Mamadou Sakho. They spent £17 million on Jeffrey Schlupp.
Yes, exactly.
They've spent a few bob. Maybe
but that's over the years.
Just to name
not
three.
under Roy's tenure.
Sure,
yeah, but they've
still spent a few bob, and they've kept
they need
those
to
players.
go again, don't they?
Yeah,
they need to go again. But what the point I was going to make is Palace's wage bill is about 115 million quid. So it's not a small wage bill. And Wilfried Zaha's on 130 grand a week, which is a lot of money when you think about a club with a capacity of 26,000 fans that doesn't get to the top of the Premier League.
This is seriously bad news for Palace this morning with Eze. And it's very difficult. As Liverpool found with Van Dijk, it's very hard, Trevor, to come in with something like. You know, you can't replace like with like with Van Dijk. They tried, it didn't work.
It is, and because he's been so successful, I think Eze, the transformation from Queen's Park Rangers and the way that he's got into the team to start with, because he wasn't in the team to start with, and then he's had to build himself up. Then he's getting used to the Premier League and the speed of the Premier League and the quality of the players that he's now playing against, and for him to come across all that and still be successful and then become one of their most important players. For me, from what I've seen, when they're going forward, a lot of the great stuff that they do comes through Eze.
Yeah.
So he's established himself. Now, that's taken probably the best part of a year. It's going to take somebody else, especially if they're taking players from a lower league or a different country, time to settle. I don't think Palace have got that time. They need players that are ready, but they cost money.
Right. And they're going to have to spend a fair chunk of the transfer budget, Simon, to bring someone in to replace this boy. Because he gave them something they didn't have.
When Eagles there. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, they're going to have to support the new manager coming in. But any new manager coming in, if we're talking about the people that we're talking about, Frank Lampard, perhaps, Sean Dyche, perhaps, we're throwing the names around. But if Dyche is either going to consider walking out of Burnley, it's not because he's going to swap one particular, club for another that doesn't have a great deal of transfer activity in its making. So it's people like Sean Dyche are going to say, what are you going to give me? I've seen you're all right, but we need to improve. So I'm going to need 60, 70, 80 million quid to do so. And of course, we mustn't forget, and we are forgetting it, that this financial landscape around football is a long way from being fixed.
Yeah.
A long way from being fixed. And Palace being prepared to go again with 50 million quid is a surprise to me, because they would have lost quite a substantial amount of money. And the only way I think they'll go again is if they sell somebody.
Well, they're desperate to go again because they want to stay in the Premier League. And to do that, I think they have to go again.
Well, you're probably right, but it's going again when you know you've got Roy Hodgson there for 4 years, and you know that kind of you're going to get what you get. Right? Whatever he got, you give him a cloth and he'll turn it into something half decent.
Do you not get that with Sean?
Well, yes, but he's got to come into the club. He's got to adjust to it himself. The whole fibre. But he's very comfortable at Burnley. You know what you're going to get with him. He can fix the problems when they arrive. He doesn't know Palace, so there might be a period of time where he's got to acclimatise. But I think Dyche is a sensible choice if that is the choices that they're able to have.
Is Dyche a friend?
No, he's somebody I've come across like you do in football, but by the same token, everyone abbreviates name. Like me, the 60 names we call you behind your back.
Yeah.
But I think he probably now is a decent fit for where Palace is.
It's just Dyche, Brucey. I've noticed this
Brucey,
creeping
yeah,
in.
of course,
Brucey's
yeah.
up. Dyche. Okay. Am I white? Is that Sinclair? On a serious note, though, we send our very best this morning to Eberechi Eze. A serious Achilles injury, and he could well be ruled out well into next season. He's a great lad, great entertainer. We wish him well. Thankfully, he's got age on his side.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning, 10 till 1. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.